welcome everybody today. If we'd rise, we're going to have the invocation and the pledge. Linda, would you?
Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us another day in your presence, dear Lord. We just want to thank you for all the things that you provide for us, the good and the bad, dear Lord, that you allowed to come our way, that you might strengthen us and make us stronger. Dear Lord, give us the ability to listen to you, dear Lord, and to follow your guide. In the name of Jesus Christ, our brother, we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. If the board would review the minutes of the June 6th meeting.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye. 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 Okay, there you go. And anybody no? Not, the motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to item 5. J.R.?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'll call the board's attention to this document entitled Lot Fee that's in front of you, just in case Mr. Clark wants to refer to it. He may not, but you have a copy there in case you need to review it. I'd just like to say that at our last Fireman's Pension Board of Trustees meeting, the Fireman's Pension Board voted unanimously, 5-0, to transfer administration of their Fireman's Pension Fund management to LOPFI. That is something that is eligible under the law. In fact, it's something that's required under the law if you get down to 5 full-time members. And I think right now we're at 9? 7? We're at 7. So we're close to the 5 anyway. So they've made the decision they would like to allow LOPFI to manage their funds. And the city has to approve that through an ordinance. And an agreement of services has to be drafted between the two parties, LOPFI and the city. And so, Mr. Clark, I'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name and your occupation, who you're with, and your position, and the board you can just deliver what you'd like to the board, and then the board could ask you some questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Should we get the microphone up here? There we go. All right, David Clark, I'm the Executive Director of LOPFI, which is the Local Police and Fire Retirement System. It's a statewide retirement system that covers police officers and firefighters that were hired the first day of 1983 or later. For folks that were in local plans, such as the HOPE Local Fire Pension Fund, those would have been people that were hired prior to the last day of 1982. So they were picked up in those local plans that were closed, no new entrants. That's why they're called closed plans. But with Mr. Wilson has provided a spot-on summary as far as the consolidation process. It's handing the administration off to LOPFI. Our Board of Trustees becomes the trustees of the pension fund. LOPFI administers all the benefits, invests the assets, provides the tax withholdings, the 1099 hours at the end of the year. The city no longer has to do board meetings, pay benefits, issue 1099-Rs, file an annual financial report with the Pension Review Board. That's the other board I work for. So some of the administrative functions that is currently tasked with your staff, that goes away. And that's usually been pretty popular with city officials. But with your pension fund, something I mentioned to Mr. Wilson earlier is I definitely wanted to share with this board is that over the years, the pension fund trustees have managed this plan incredibly well. The numbers, I think, bear out. When the costs are this limited, because the pension fund has to add a cost of living adjustment for a COLA by law because it's actuarially sound. So statute says you have to put that in place. And COLAs can be expensive. So my point is that because the plan has had a dedicated funding source, has managed its assets prudently, has not asked for benefit increase after benefit increase, in other words, adding on cost. I think that over the decades, it's shown that they have placed the plan in a very attractive position. So being able to consolidate, add a COLA, and have roughly $2,500 for the first year's cost for employer contributions is virtually unheard of. So again, kudos to the trustees. I just wanted the board to know that that's kind of the history of how we got here today. Now, as far as the numbers, another point that Mr. Wilson asked me about a little bit ago was on one of the pages, it talks about an unfunded accrued liability of roughly $69,000. And the question was, does the city have to pay that off right now? And the answer is no. That unfunded liability is the product of the addition of the cost of living adjustment to the plan, and the fact that we're going to have a 15-year amortization is how the agreement is stacked out for you. So that means every year, starting out with the first year through 2024, and by the way, we're on a calendar year just like you are, so when I say the next year, we're talking about all the way through December 31 of 2024. The employer contribution rate will be the $202 a month. That's for the paid side, and then you have 2 volunteer members. So the employer rate for that is a whopping $6 per month. So the total comes out to just under $2,500 for the year. Now, with your, you have a dedicated millage, and that has been incredibly helpful with the funding. One thing I would encourage you, you do not have to do this, but I would encourage you to consider paying a little bit over that $2,500 to some number that you decide, and then it's credited immediately as an asset to the pension fund. And think of like a car note or a mortgage. If you pay more on the front end, that has the ability to reduce the interest cost on the back end. And there's not a whole lot here that we're talking about because of the funding condition of the plan. But it makes sense to our way of thinking that if you pay down that, the unfunded liability earlier, that then relieves the pressure for the city later on for possible employer contributions. I hope that made sense on that part. But again, that's not mandatory. That's something that's totally your decision to do so. The only thing you're required to make is that $2,500 over the year that I just mentioned. So with that, there's a lot of numbers and a lot of details. Let me pause and see if there's any questions at this stage.
I guess how does that compare to where we are now? What we've been doing?
Our millage, Cindy, collects around $84,000 a year.
It was 87.6.
87.6, and normally that would go into our trust funds to capture greater investment returns, and those returns are the way we keep our funds moving and being able to pay our obligations to our trustees. Now we won't have to do that. They will do all that. What we will have to do is pay them approximately $208 a month for that service through 2024, and that could adjust based on the market conditions but around, that's what we'll be paying every year. We'll still be collecting that $87,000, and that $87,000 will be used to make these payments. And if in the future, for some reason, something goes wrong and LAFI says, hey, now you got to pay X, we'll have the ability to pay X. And what he was saying, we can pay in advance if we wanted to, and that'd be translated as an asset for us with LAFI and could offset future costs. But that's really up for the board to decide. And but we would, I think we're kind of estimating around 15 years until this fund may be out of service.
Yeah, be fully funded. Well, the thing is that there's probably another 3 decades of benefit payments in this plan. So when you look at the retirees and then the surviving spouses, so it's not as though that the liabilities will go away in the near term, assuming that people live as expected. The 2 things for a closed plan that really drive the cost are the investment performance. So how well, if you assign administration to us, how well our plan does with investments, and then mortality. If people live far longer, obviously costs are up. If they pass away earlier, then costs go down.
And I think the exciting thing to the firefighters is they'll get a 3% cost of living adjustment every year. That is required by law, and that's something they're not getting now. Also, the board reserves the right to if the funds are doing well, the board and the millage is doing well, the board can fund an increase in benefits.
That is correct.
The board can request that. Now, the trustees won't be able to make that request any longer, the current trustees, because they'll become the trustees, but you can make that request through LAPI to increase benefits of the firemen if our funds are doing well and our millage is doing well. Right now, they're receiving about 65% of their
Final pay, that's correct.
final pay. And then they'll get the 3% cost of living adjustment.
And, yes, yeah. Well, it's a monthly benefit, but yes.
Right, but cumulative,
Correct.
yeah.
And the other thing I wanted the board to know is there's always been a special payment the state made through some kind of premium
It's
insurance,
called Future Supplement Fund.
the Future Supplement Fund, and it's a one-time payment to all firemen, retired firemen,
Retired firemen and police, but
and they don't lose that when we go to LAPI. So they'll still get that one-time payment. They'll receive their benefits plus the 3% cost of living adjustment each year. And they can go online and see their account. They have a 24-hour service line they can talk to.
well, through office hours.
Through office hours.
For actually talking to a live person, that's correct. yeah.
Okay.
They don't get into a call tree and have to go through a menu where they dial in. It's actually answered by a person who is knowledgeable and can handle the calls.
And they handle all the administrators, so we take a lot of work off of Cindy. Cindy's been having to make those monthly payments. We have to, accumulate that for IRS purposes and do whatever forms are necessary there. Now they'll do all of that for us. That's a different piece of paper there. The paper we're talking, the report they gave us was this one right here, Lottie. Yeah.
But yeah, I know I was looking at this one, but we're only talking about the firemen, right?
The old firemen, so pre-1983 hires, is that correct?
Yep.
And we only have 7 of those full-time ones left. And how many part-time?
2
2.
and 2 spouses.
And 2 spouses. So we're looking at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total beneficiaries. And right now, we administer that. We do the investments. We plan the investments. The trustee board plans the investments. Cindy helps, we get a company that helps us manage them, but we have to make decisions on move them here, move them there. We do all the administrative work for those funds right currently. And then we have fireman pension board trust meetings, probably quarterly, roughly, something like that.
And then they file an annual financial report with the Pension Review Board. That's the other board I work for. That's an annual process as well. So that can be a little laborious, and so that goes away.
Takes that out.
Yes.
And is that something our auditors end up helping us with? Or is that something you do?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the worst part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a plan they've already had going. It's just fire, not police.
I know this is a lot, and
Mr. Clark, on this form here, as far as I'm trying to...
schedule?
The schedule. Now, is this the funds that are currently in the fireman's pension? or-
Yes, that was as of December 31, 2022, the assets that were reported on the annual financial report, and then it's projected out what the benefit payments will be over the next, till 2062, and then what the employer contributions are projected to be.
And this is just losing the current fireman's pension? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Draining it out?
Correct, yes, it's just using the assets with investment earnings and employer contributions minus the benefit payments.
so as I understand, a lot of people would take those assets and transfer them out of our investment funds into your investment funds, and y'all have the right to hold some in our funds in case early withdrawal penalties may be significant. You may wait to that
Correct.
a period of time.
And now those monies, by the way, just so you know, they're earmarked solely for Hope Fire Pension Fund. They can't be used for Springdale, or some other location. They are assets that belong to Hope.
And we'll still retain the millage. It'll still roll into our
Yes.
checkbook, so we can pay anything that if their costs go up for us, we have the ability to pay that.
That is correct.
And then at some point in the future, maybe 30 years, maybe 25 years, the board could choose, when all this has gone away, to do away with that millage.
And then if there are any assets left, those would then be used by the city for your ongoing lobby cost for your fire employees.
Current.
Correct, yes.
And I suppose the millage could be continued to help fund that.
Most likely, what we always encourage for you all to visit with your legal counsel,
Legal
see what
counsel.
the enacting legislation
Yes,
was.
right. If the board decides to take action today, we all understand you may want to think about this and get back with us, but if you want to take action today, what you need to take action on is there's an ordinance in the documents, and you would need to make a motion to approve that ordinance, suspend the rules, approve the ordinance, and pass the emergency clause. We actually have until when, we have to do something by a certain date, or this actuarial study
Expires.
Expires.
Yes. Yeah, we have to have everything in, if you choose to do so, by October 31.
Yeah.
Of this year, in order to be able to use this valuation. If you chose to wait, we would need to run a new valuation, which would be an additional cost for the pension fund.
And he came to visit with our trustees, and we've talked on the phone a few times, and, obviously it's something that the firemen's trustee board want to do.
The one document that I see the mayor has in front of him, and you all have in your packet, is a resolution. That's what the board passed at their last meeting, and it effectively dissolved that board and is asking the city to act as its administrative agent. So now that's at a request of, do you want to pass the ordinance?
So you talked about having to have quarterly meetings with this group.
Well, I'm not sure that was required, but we had meetings. Yeah, we would have meetings.
But that's not something that moves to, those
That actually
meetings.
goes away.
That goes away.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's gone.
I didn't know if if y'all had the meetings with.
I mean, they could still meet, they're just not trustees anymore.
Right.
If you approve this action.
Gotcha.
Well, one thing about it, their board is pretty well signed on,
Yes,
and the staff is pretty well signed on.
yes.
This is just one less of, I can imagine them trying to figure out how to invest every quarter. This would just take a lot of burden off a lot of people.
And Mayor, we administer 247 closed plans, LAPI does. There's 39 left in this state that's still locally administered. Hope Fire is one of those. So, we've got pretty good experience with this at 247 so far.
The way we see it is we get professional management, very well educated, and we don't lose our funding source to pay any fees that may be incurred in the future.
That's right.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. So, is there any discussion? Do we want to table it, or we want to go ahead and read the ordinance?
Sound like read doors to me.
I'm good with listening.
Yeah. So suspend the rules.
For me, that would
We got a paid reader. We got a paid reader here. Yeah.
Total function. This is an ordinance transferring administration of retirement coverage for eligible members of Hope Fire Relief and Pension Fund to the Arkansas Local Police and Fire Retirement Fund, LOPLI, and authorizing the Chief Administrative Officer to enter into an irrevocable agreement with LOPLI. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Hope Fire Relief and Pension Fund, the local plan, is elected to have its local plan administered by LOPLI as stated by resolution dated June 13, 2023, and that whereas the Board of Trustees is requested by resolution that the City of Hope, Arkansas, to act as its agent henceforth. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of the Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas, Section 1, if accepted by LOPLI, the administration of the Hope Fire Relief and Pension Fund local plan shall be transferred to LOPLI under authority of Arkansas Code Annotated 2410-101 et sec as amended. Such transfer shall mean the administration of the local plan only and not a change in the local plan's benefit program unless a benefit increase is formally approved by the City of Hope, Arkansas by ordinance. With the passage of this ordinance, a 3% compound cost of living adjustment, COLA, shall be added to the benefit program of the local plan. This COLA will be awarded each July 1st according to LOPFI guidelines. Section 2, the chief administrative officer is hereby authorized to enter into an irrevocable agreement using a 15-year amortization schedule with LOPFI to administer the local plan as stated in Section 1 hereof. Section 3, it is the intent of the Board of Directors and it is hereby ordained that the provisions of this ordinance shall be codified into the Code of Ordinances of Hope, Arkansas, and the sections thereof may be renumbered and relettered if necessary to accomplish such intention. In Section 4, due to the need to consolidate administration of the local plan with LOPFI, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force from and after the passage of this and approval.
Okay, is there any discussion, or is there a motion to approve the resolution? I need to suspend first.
Yes, sir.
I
Suspend.
do have a question.
Okay, good, okay.
Okay, once the 7 persons that's a part of this plan, so it goes to their spouse, children, so what happens?
Doesn't go to the children, just the spouse.
So what happens to those funds? Do they revert back to the city, or what happens with that?
Yeah, Director, just make sure I understand. You're asking if, once everybody's passed away, what happens with the funds?
Yeah.
Okay, if there's any assets left, those are still assigned to Hope Fire, so the city would use those monies for your ongoing LOPFI costs for your fire department employees.
Okay.
Our current ones.
It'd come back,
The one, yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
or not really.
It would stay with
It'd be moved
LOPFI.
over.
Yeah, it would stay with LOPFI, but would credit it as an asset on the LOPFI side of the ledger for your fire employees.
All right, that's,
It's a good question.
Absolutely.
And just to be clear, if you approve this, you're approving me to sign the services agreement, correct?
Yes, the administrative services agreement, that's the agreement between the city and the LOPFI Board of Trustees.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Steve Montgomery.
Aye.
Reginald Easter.
Aye.
Linda Clark.
Is there a motion
Trevor
clause?
Coffey. Mayor
Or did we
Still.
jump on?
Motion.
Motion's
adopt.
now.
Aye. Okay, motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Steve Montgomery.
Aye.
Reginald Easter.
Aye.
Linda Clark. Trevor Coffey.
Aye.
Mayor Still.
Aye. Is there a emergency clause, make motion?
Mercy clause.
Yeah, there's one.
So moved.
Second.
Steve Montgomery.
Aye.
Reginald Easter.
Aye.
Linda Clark. Trevor Coffey.
Aye.
Mayor Still.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. You can stay with us, or you can get on the road if you want to.
Well, thank you all very much, and Mr. Wilson knows that we're a phone call or an email away, so this is just the beginning, all right? So again, we're here for you all. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your confidence in us, and I know the local Board of Trustees appreciates your action as well.
And David's been great to work with and just answers my phone calls, and I'll get with you tomorrow and make sure we do all the appropriate forms that we need to do to get this going.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I see you back there signed.
Yeah. What are you gonna do with all that time, see? All right, moving to item 6, we're gonna talk about the airport.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Daryl to come up and speak
on,
to
Daryl.
us. He has a couple, actually we have 3 items, you got 2 in your packet, but another one has arisen we would like to talk to you about, so he's gonna actually be discussing item 6, item 7, then another item not listed.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Ready?
Well, this one's easy. You guys declared a couple months ago one of the FEMA buildings at the airport surplus, and we were bouncing back and forth whether we could use it anywhere else. The second one, the expense and everything, the estimated expense was more than us building another building that size from scratch. talked to a couple folks about using parts of it for like hangers and stuff, and it just doesn't make sense to try and make that fit that purpose, because it's not what it was designed for. Better to have real plain hangers out there. So we're just going, we've got 5 people interested, organizations in those. One is one of the pilots out of Texarkana. They have an interest in one for some things. New Millennium, Wren Tree Services guy, Hostetler Root. There's several local folks interested in them, and so we've advertised up to 2 of them for sale, because the one was already surplus. So if you guys approve that, we'll take sealed bids for the other one also at the same time. So it's just, they're in. They look like we could use them for stuff, but based on our engineer's estimate of $150,000 to take it down, move it, and skin it in metal, it just doesn't seem feasible and financially feasible to do that. So,
But part of their bid will be that they are the ones to remove it.
oh yeah, we're not going to do anything. You can have all the junk inside of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, there's some things in there that we have to decide. There's some display boards that were supposed to go to the visitor center that never made it, that are ruined. They just need to go to the dump, but landfill. And a few air conditioners left over from FEMA. We kept a few. Those buildings came with some big units. They're all R22s, so you really can't do anything with them. So a few other odds and ends in there. So we just think it'd be a good idea to just get those out of there before more of it falls apart and blows across the
Runways, yeah.
runways. So
Yeah, it needs to be either taken down and used, or taken down and sold, or just picked up or whatever. It is a little eyesore out there, I guarantee you. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Do y'all want to add the second building to the
Trying to get
First.
this removed before your firework display? or-
yeah, I'm trying to, I don't want that back, yeah, look
So
back.
moved that we allow the FEMA building, item 6 to be.
Okay, there's a motion to add the second building to the,
Second.
okay, motion and second. Surplus. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Move on to item 7.
Yeah, I've been asking, Daryl and I've been talking about the timber at the airport. He's done a lot of work trying to figure out what we need to do with this. He spoke with a lot of people, spoke with the gentleman, volunteer person that you sent our way. I'm going to turn it over to Daryl to talk to you about our findings of what we'd like the board to allow us to do.
Talked with the Forestry Commission Forester to give us a kind of a plan. Has not done that at this point. She has visited and said it was going to take a while. She's backlogged on several things. So I did talk with Mr. Beard. He had a couple ideas of, we really needed to, his idea was to cut 40 acres a year, and you rotate it 20 years, you'd be through all 800 acres. But the condition it's in right now, he doesn't think it warrants that right now. We've got a lot that's bug killed by the beetles, and we've got a big chunk that is ready, that needs to be harvested. And then there's a bunch that needs to be thinned. So he wouldn't, I've asked for, because he indicated that if he did much, he would want to be compensated for that. So he wanted me to tell him what we wanted him to charge, and that's something I don't know. I mean, if he's wanted to help and all that,
Yeah.
I thought he would have an idea, and he hasn't. We've spoken a couple times back and forth, and I'll owe him a phone call still. But so JR and I decided to just put it out there for proposals from timber companies, managers, whatever, just a request for proposals of cutting up to all of it, and see what we got for a response. 1991, you were the only one, correct? Do you remember they cut all of it and replanted it? So it's technically all the same age. It has not been thinned properly in some areas, so it is choked out and thin and smaller. There's some 18 to 20, 22-inch trees out there right now that need to go. So I've had interest from 3 so far. Weyerhaeuser, company called Timberline Services, they actually cut and manage. And we contacted Jason Porter,
Millwood Corporation.
Millwood Corporation, and those 3 are going to be looking at them the next week to determine, and they can just give us a proposal. The Timberline, I can't remember the exact name, he asked what we wanted to do, and I said, we are not timber people. We don't know what we want to do. We want to harvest. We know we need to do something out there. That's kind of what we were, and if we don't get good proposals, like they don't maybe direct us, maybe we have to hire a full-fledged timber management corporation to say, go in there and just give us a management plan. That's why I tried to go with the Forestry Commission, because they do it for nothing. And she's working on it a little bit, but she does that for dozens of places, private, public. So we've got that proposal out there. We can reject any of those proposals. We just thought we'd get it started, get the process started, and see what we've ended up. So we've had some interest, with just not even soliciting anything. We just put it out there in the newspaper. So.
I think just to add to that, and Daryl's done a great job, is just the thing that concerns me. We have some beetle infestation. We do not want that to spread. If we wait too long, that could spread into more mass timber. We lose more money.
There's a big area of probably 20, 30, 40 acres is dead right now.
Yeah.
So we've lost that.
So
there's 2 or 3 others that are starting just around this, just because it's just too thick.
what we're hoping in the request for proposals is someone will say, look, that needs to be fully harvested, this needs to be thinned, that needs to be thinned, and we'll just take down all this beetle infestation for you and clean it up so you don't have to worry about that, and tell us what then they may offer us in terms of money. So that's why we're looking for proposals. And then if that gets too complicated for us when we get all the proposals in, to be able to delineate the difference, because we're not timber people, we can get with someone like Terry or someone like the management enforcement and show them our proposals and see if they think those are reasonable proposals. And then we could bring that to the board. But I think eventually what Darryl would like to do, and I agree, was we have a true management plan over the long term of the timber, and we don't have all the timber coming due at once. We'd rather have it, so many this year, maybe every 5 years, maybe every 3 years.
We need a plan that will outlive the manager, the staff, basically, and the board. I mean, something that just keeps going for change of guard, basically. Yeah. It's in place, and it just happens. Somebody to kind of spearhead that. And so that's what we're kind of hoping, maybe a proposal would come along that would include that. And
we think we have about 800 acres out there.
Oh, there's at least 800. There's a piece up around Powell Perry that we didn't include, and there's some hardwood out there. And there was some talk about, hey, you manage it for wildlife. We want zero wildlife out there. And, that's not what we're after. Wildlife and airports don't mix. So you want zero deer, zero birds, zero anything out there in a good world. But, you don't.
That's not the world I want to
I know that's not for an airport, but they did cut Weyerhaeuser, cut everything around there. So imagine all the deer now hanging out in our spot, and once we cut it, who knows where they're going. So, so we'll just kind of, like we're just kind of.
I think it's
trying
great.
to fish and see if we can catch anything, because it's either that or just go ahead and just decide to hire somebody, because Terry didn't indicate to me that he would develop a plan without
A little extra,
some,
yeah.
some.
It's gonna be a job of 800 acres, I can
Yeah,
see.
a lot of job.
So I think we're starting down the right path. Let's see what the value is and see what.
Yeah, and
see
there's
what's
two
going on.
ways that Weyerhaeuser said that they typically prepare proposals like this. Is one, they give us X number of dollars,
Yes,
and that's based on current, what they anticipate. Or two, they haul, every load they haul, they weigh, they give us a check, basically.
yeah.
And so it goes up, goes down, but he said it's gonna be based on market value right then anyways, what they're gonna give us, so. And it probably would be a 2-year, he indicated a 2-year, possibly with a third for bad weather. The other ones I talked to, he said, they could hit it in a couple months and be done, if it was good weather, 800 acres. So,
we're just really looking for the board to approve that Daryl can move forward with the request for proposals.
I think
yeah.
that, especially with the Beatles, you know, you
Yeah,
have
that's
to really, you have to really move real.
we've lost,
Yeah.
you know, probably
That means that they're
$50,000
traveling pretty fast.
Okay. Heard the proposal. Is there a motion for Daryl to go ahead and get some bids taken up?
So we'll,
Is there a second?
that he prepare a plan to bring back to the board so that we can look at what's most feasible for that project.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right. Good luck, Daryl.
Third thing, like 7B, remember, 2-1. We have
You
some
gotta come back
repairs.
2 weeks for that.
This is an emergency, so.
This is something we've been working on now for 6 months. Well, actually, ever since I started this for about a year, trying to get some of the fuel farm, they call it fuel farm out there, repaired. Filters haven't been changed. We don't really know how to change them. We've reached out to the more local folks, which are Mississippi and Dallas. You can believe that. The Mississippi folks who actually installed part of it have not returned our request for quotes to, we've got a leak in some jet fuel, we've got filters need to be replaced, we need to replace some piping that has gotten kind of old, it needs to be replaced with stainless steel. After you filtered the last time, it needs to be stainless. That's what jet pilots like to see. They don't like to see this old rusted pipe coming through there up into the pump. They're a little leery of it. So we've been looking to get this. We finally got a company out of Houston to give us a good quote. He's FaceTimed me. He hasn't set foot on here, but he took about 45 minutes of FaceTime. We were measuring pipes and doing all this stuff. He put a lot of work into this quote. So the initial quote was for around $21,000 to do a whole host of fixing a gauge on it and the piping and inspecting the inside of the tanks the best they could with fuel in it. The best obviously is to drain it, but you can't get anybody to drain those tanks and put the fuel in, so we drain it and lose the fuel at a very reduced cost. So they said they can kind of peek down in there and shine a light and look and see if there's any issues, because they're 20 plus 25-year-old tanks maybe. But anyways, but within that discussion, he told us that our filter that filters the incoming jet fuel, when they pump it out of the truck in the big 3-inch hose, there's a 3-foot tall filter that is supposed to remove particulates and remove water. Ours removes particulates, but is not designed for the jet fuel that we have been getting for all the time we've been there. They put the wrong filter in. He's going to correct that in this first quote. He'll fix that. But this vessel does not have the ability to remove water. So he's recommending that we replace that vessel. Those are custom made and approximately $20,000-$25,000. So with all these costs, I had about $15,000-$20,000 in there to kind of hit that first run. So we thought, hey, we'll just handle that. Well, we thought maybe hit up a grant from Department of Aeronautics for 50/50. At least that'll take some of the blow out of that. Our other grants are 90/10s, 80/20s that are going to be designated for our runways. Some more runway work, so we can't really touch those, but we don't usually typically use the 50/50, which is more money out of but like I said, I budgeted in 15,000 to 18,000 for this already, so we just like to have permission to apply for that grant. It'll be due in a couple of weeks. We'll know by the beginning of July, our first meeting in July, and we can move on and get this fixed.
So you're at 46 with his initial?
He has not given me a vessel quote yet.
Okay.
He estimated, our engineer Garver estimated 17 to 20,000 just off the top of his head. He's saying, this guy is going to do it. There's a trip charge. Houston is not close by. So there's more, there's like $3,000 or $4,000 worth of trip charges in there and hotels and whatever, So, but when you can't get anybody else to do it, I mean, we've tried and tried. So, and that's the same problem a lot of airports run into is, that you can't get anybody to do this work. It's specialized. So,
What is the total amount of the grant?
it will be determined based on the quote for that vessel that he told me he would have. Supposed to have already had it. So.
We might be able to work out a deal and throw in like some Marshall Tucker Band concert tickets or Watermelon Festival t-shirts or something.
Teresa has some meet and greets. Whatever this guy's profile is, he might fit the Marshall Tucker Band.
The reason we think this is such an important thing, we normally wouldn't bring this to the board, we normally wait to a budget cycle, but the reason we think it's so important is our filters are not the correct filters. We're not removing the water from the jet fuel. Particulates that may be in the fuel are making it through our filters, perhaps. We would just hate to see a plane, and even though there's many redundant systems, like Daryl's told me, the planes have multiple redundant systems to filter out particulates and water. But nonetheless, if a plane did go down because of such an event, and it was shown that our tanks, that would be Daryl and I don't want to live like that. We want to do our best, make sure we're doing everything we can, and
we've been working on this now for a year to try and get this moving, and even though I've gotten a quote, it's still
not happening.
It's still going. He's 3 to 4 weeks out on parts, and the vessel will be another couple months, maybe another month or so after that. So it'll be we're going to get it up to the best we can, and then that vessel will get it back to where it was when it was installed. It actually, if you remember, Southern Company out of Little Rock did this work, and this is not typical airport stuff.
And could you also explain to them the circulation procedure? They're supposed to circulate that fuel.
Yeah, we're supposed to sump water out. We're supposed to circulate the fuel. Right now, the only way we have to circulate the fuel is to pull the hose out, take it up on top, turn on the pump, and run the pump. Yeah. So, as part of the vessel, when he comes and does that, he's going to pipe in a recirculating system.
That's automatic.
You'll be able to turn a valve, initiate the pump, and you can run it. He said you can just walk away and just let it go. Or just run it 15, 20 minutes. It'll stir up all that water. It'll filter it out into that big filter if there's anything in there, and help keep that fuel as clean as we can. The avgas, the gasoline tank, that one's in good shape. It doesn't have the problems that it's basically #1 diesel. It's basically what it is. It's good quality diesel.
So what is the life of that filter? How often should you change it?
Once a year.
Once a year.
And I've been doing it for a year, and it wasn't changed probably 2-3 years before that. Paul used to change it or have our mechanic change it. This leads me into the final, #4, is we get our fuel now from Titan. We used to get it out of, used to get Phillips 66 out of Satterfield and Conway. We had some disagreements. I had some disagreements with them, and they cut us off from our credit card processing. They just cut us off. So we are now processing through Titan. They have several airports in Arkansas. It's a bigger corporation. They have more assets to draw from. If you need fuel, they can get it to you faster. Satterfield was 7 to 10 days out, typically, on getting fuel. They're more like 2 days. So we would like to brand with Titan. That would allow us to, they would change our filters annually. If we provide the filters, they'll physically do it. They do that all the time. So that would take the, not the liability, but that would take it off of us. We wouldn't have to mess with it. They market the fuel in their marketing world. And also they have some liability insurance that gets on top of anything else. So we were just branding. I think they brought that up at one point, branding. And Dean was branded when he was the guy out there. They thought we were branded. We never signed an agreement. So, branding is a good way to kind of, they're your source for fuel at that point. You can't go anywhere else, but it allows people to know what kind of fuel you've got. And, they come out and inspect it once a year, make sure your system is up to par. And these repairs that we're doing are things that they would have said, well, these need to be fixed before you brand with us. So it's all kind of a wad of airport mess. So.
Well, it sounds like you're on top of what we need to do.
Not
Well, at least you bring the information.
Trying.
And what's important to me when you talk about liability, and liability is very important to our board. And with that being said, I think I want to move that you be allowed to work with both entities that you brought before the board tonight and work on trying to brand with Titan. Is that correct?
Be a brand with Titan and apply for that
Yes, that grant. Yes.
For the repairs, just to help. The liability insurance, and I think we've had some discussion of tort immunity and if we had liability insurance, but it's not our policy, it's theirs. So it's a $50 million policy that we're part of. I'm just having them.
That's Titan, right?
Yeah, Titan holds that insurance.
Randy, we need to do these motions separately. The Titan issue and then the grant issue. So we need to make one at a time.
Let's have a motion for the grant first, so Daryl can apply for the 50/50 grant for the repair. Is that for the repairs or just the little filter housing?
That's for everything. And
So it's gonna be the whole thing?
I don't, like I said, I don't have the final amount
Okay.
yet until I get that quote. And we can certainly update you on that, but it's gonna be in the $50,000 to
Is that,
$60,000.
in that quote, is that going to help pay for his trip up and all that? Or is there going to be any city expense other than the 50/50 grant? Do you know?
No, I mean, it'll be
all wrapped in together?
We'll
cover his jet fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got some we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Have a little water. That's right. Yeah, water down.
No water at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion to apply for the 50/50 grant.
So I'll break the both.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
So,
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, now we're moving on to the branding. The Titan.
And that's something that would be a signature for city manager. It's a contract and they've got a proposal. They've given us a proposal, so that's part of it, the insurance, the filter changes, the marketing, they process for us, which they already do anyways, and so that's just all part of a little.
There's no cost involved to us, other than we're required to buy their fuel.
Sure.
We buy their fuel, which I'm going to anyways, because I've made Phillips 66 mad. Apparently.
Your motion's just authorizing the city manager
To enter into an agreement. It's just an agreement.
And before I enter that agreement, I always send them to Randy. Randy reviews them. If he approves them, then I'll sign them.
Okay.
Like 30 pages.
Okay, a motion for JR to sign the agreement after Randy checks it over. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Second.
Motion, second.
Okay, either one. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right.
All right, appreciate you
What else you
listening
got?
to my rambling. That is it, I think, right? Yeah.
for today.
Today, I'll be back.
All right, we're moving on to the financial. Cindy will come up.
Yeah, I asked Miss Cindy to come on up, and I think by now we know how we want to do this, so just turn it over to Cindy.
All right.
Okay.
Then we'll start with page 1.
I like page 1.
Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5.
Yeah, my only question on there is on the part-time salaries. I didn't know if,
Are you on Parks and Rec?
What
yeah, I'm
number?
sorry. Parks and Rec, 5030.
Uh-huh. I think we've talked about this before, but there's 4 positions in that line item. It's the visitor center, 2 people there, the weekend and the regular, and then the Amtrak attendant, and then the downtown, MONA, downtown maintenance. And I think when we looked at that maybe all of those were not budgeted in there, or that the number of hours that they're working was not budgeted. But in that line item, tourism actually reimburses for that amount for the part-time salaries.
And so, okay, so what I was checking was the very next page on the 5030 on the Parks and Rec pools, there was nothing, 0 amount for part-time salaries
This
for
is
that. And this is through May, right?
right, and they didn't open the
They didn't get
pools
a
on June
check,
1st.
paycheck till after, oh, they opened June 1st.
They
I thought
opened
it
the
was
day
Memorial
after
Day.
Memorial Day.
May 30th.
Was
Okay.
it the
Yeah,
30th?
we got 2, we got
It wasn't a pay
30th and
period.
31st. We
Right,
have,
Anyway.
the first pay period
Yeah.
was the 1st of June.
Okay, so that's what I was, I just didn't
Yeah.
know if that had gotten put over here, and that's what I was checking.
Yeah, there will be salaries next month.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
and I would just notice on the Parks and Rec maintenance, if you look there to our salaries, our regular salaries, not part-time, are down. You know, if that was an even flow of money coming out of there, what was budgeted, we should be around the 40.4% mark. So we're way under. And that, we've struggled maybe, we've been losing some people there and struggling to keep up, so.
Page 6. Okay, page 7 is the sales tax. Revenue. Page 8, I think there are questions on the capital outlay.
We've only paid 25% on the streetscape through May. I would have thought there would have been more.
I think there was some engineering that may be in 2022. I think there was some engineering. But
Okay.
I think all we've paid so far is just engineering for the streetscape.
Oh, okay. That's what I was,
We've had some TCC
Is that-
bills. some of the TCC bills?
Yeah, we pay them to Garber. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have had Texarkana Concrete,
Yeah.
some bills for Texarkana Concrete.
I would've thought they were further along than,
Yeah.
usually we're trying to hold back the last year.
This, too, we did the railroad last year, the railroad crossing part, was that last year?
There's
Yeah,
expenses in last year.
significant
and
amount last year.
I'll bring them next time, because there's some expenses in last year.
And I guess I'll just, where are we on the police department vehicles?
I know they've purchased one for the CID.
Right.
And the other one hasn't come in yet.
We've got a VIN number, but it's still being built.
Okay.
But they are buying equipment, because I
We
signed
are
a,
buying equipment.
so when it comes in.
This has kind of become normal. That one car, you remember, was the unmarked Traverse that we found here locally. So
Yeah.
we knew we got it early. But this has become the normal for us to get cars later in the year.
Yeah, it's been a problem since
several years.
since COVID.
Yeah, that's what, I was just wondering if you were expecting to get them in the calendar year.
We sure are hoping so. So far, we have been able to get all our cars within the year. But they've slow, a month or two slower seems like every year, so. Yes. We've got a VIN number, that's a start.
All we can do is keep pushing our salesman. When's our car coming? When's our car coming? Just call them every week. When's the car coming?
Equipment and just hold on to it.
And then Cindy on 5233 on the LED lights for Kelly. So this doesn't include the money that tourism has paid towards that?
Well, no, actually, the money that tourism would pay will be up there in 4520, which will actually be on next month's statement because y'all paid it in June.
Okay, yeah, I knew at our meeting last week, we had made a significant
Yeah, this
payment.
is just through May. And we've actually got the bill for a lot of that LED lighting in the June statement.
Okay, all right.
I think it was 379,000 or something like that that we have already paid.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah, but that will show up in June. Page 10.
45. The rail spur maintenance. I didn't know why we're lagging so far behind on that.
Well, Hexion pays once a year.
And obviously that hasn't come yet.
No, but I have got the purchase order with the amount, so it should probably be this month. And it was 40, I want to say it was like 49,000.
So they're basically half of the, or over half of the money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there's really only two that pay now.
Okay.
Page 11. On the 5850, the amount that's showing the 99,354, that's what we paid down on the new dump truck. That was the money that we received from the insurance that was in last year's.
On which one?
5850. at the
Okay, yeah, that's why I was so
99.
far ahead on the capital.
Yes, because that was not budgeted for this year.
And is there a reason that our debt service that we haven't paid more through 5 months?
I think that was budgeted for like so many months, and I don't remember what else we have left to get in there, because we've got the dump truck and.
The mini excavator?
We've got that, we've got the dump truck and the mini excavator that payments are being made on.
Oh, you mean, what else he might be getting?
Yeah. I don't remember what else was budgeted in there, but that's just the payments that we make on things that we have a loan for.
Yeah, I just figured that would have been closer to that 40% of what we had
Well, that's just an
budgeted.
estimate based on like we say, we're gonna get it half the year, you know. we
So that
just-
would change it when it delivers.
Whenever
Okay.
we get it, yeah. Page 12.
All right. Chief, are we still expecting anything on the grants, or are those the ones that went away early this year for sanitation?
Which line item are you referring to?
4735? I knew we had the two that we had
Yes.
applied for earlier this year.
Yeah, and we did not get them, but they are having a meeting in June. I met with the engineer Monday during the holiday. We came up and met. And Hope is still in the running. You know, initially they told us we didn't get it.
Right.
And sometime early this year, they said, hey, we're going to do another deal. And I understand we're still in the running. So we still have our fingers crossed. We may get some money. We just don't know yet.
Okay.
But the UV project, we talked about that. And he's just about through with his engineering. And I signed off on a piece of paper that has to go to ADEQ to seek a work permit. And so I signed that for the engineer. You have to submit that with some documents. And we have had some calls from ADEQ, or ADEE now, about our mitigation plans for the landfill where we're having the water problems. And so that's kind of rearing its head again, and we're ready to go. I mean, I think we've got our plan in place. We're ready to give it to the ADEQ for their approval. The only thing holding us back now is we're asking the ADEQ to cover this under the post-closure fund, and we don't have an answer to that
I
yet.
was gonna say, I thought that's what we've been waiting to hear.
We're still waiting.
Page 13. Page 14.
Which project does that 6950 refer to as landfill project?
It's the bond payments.
Okay.
No, the landfill project, the debt service is the bond payments, right?
No.
The landfill project should have been that mitigation. That's the money we put in the budget for this, where we estimated this for recapping, removing the leachate from the trenches, and what we're trying to go through now with the post-closure. That was the landfill project.
It may be included in that $500,000 budget, but
Yes.
the bond payments, that's where they're
Is in that
covered
as well?
As well, and the debt service is our payments.
On equipment?
Yeah.
And the capital outlay is new equipment.
Yes, the $25,000 in there is the dozer repair, and it's over budget because the generator was budgeted last year, but we didn't pay for it until this year. We didn't get it till this year,
Gotcha.
just recently.
Wasn't and you may not remember off the top of your head, but isn't the debt service on our bonds at the landfill somewhere in the $200,000 range?
Per year,
Yes.
it's, that $22,000 is what it is per month.
Yeah, so that'd put it in the 250-ish range? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I think 250 is,
Okay. Well, we can talk about that. I sure thought that was under debt service, but I deferred to my expert. We'll talk about that later.
okay. Page 15.
At lift station maintenance, have we got one having problems, or that just normal? 5550.
The 329448, that is it was for some sewer covers and frame, some type of frame. I think they just bought them, like, I don't think it was necessarily a problem. I think they just bought inventory because it was 5 sewer covers
Okay.
for $2,185.
And the West plant maintenance, that was something that came in.
That was those repairs for the storm, the ice storm, I think it was the bladders, which we received the
Insurance.
money for.
Is that under the miscellaneous revenue?
Yes. And we received like 80,000 of it in 2021.
Gotcha.
Well, we can find out something more about that 5550 if we want to run it. I know we're at 200% in that line item, so we could find out more about that if we need to.
Next time we do it.
Yeah,
I think I have it.
have it.
Oh, that was where they had the repair at the Pleasant Ridge Apartments, and they had to get special equipment to fix those with the pipes, and the contractor was,
Okay.
they didn't have the equipment to do that.
Didn't work.
Yeah, and then page 17 is just the ARPA funds. I think we finished up his project and just the interest from the checking.
All right.
Did you want to talk about the two things that Dr. Coffey had asked us, or Director Coffey had asked us about?
Sure.
Dr. Director?
Sure. We were asked about the batting cages and the pocket park, the total on that. The batting cages, they were budgeted in 2021 for $35,000, which we didn't do anything at that time. I think in 2022, I think tourism committed like $66,200 plus the electrical for the batting cages. And I think this should be all the charges for the batting cages from 2022 until this year is $75,963.29. And I think y'all have a copy of that. $69,900 was for Barton Roofing for the project, and there was some small charges for electrical and grass, but the total was $75,963.29.
So we put that in those packets in two smaller, we broke it out into two smaller
It's got
like
some
this.
writing on it. And tourism actually paid for that project. And the downtown pocket park, it was originally budgeted at $162,000 $860, because we thought we were gonna get a 50/50 grant of $81,000, but we did not get that much. We only got $31,480, so the project was cut down. But when they got into the project, it was more. So tourism had committed the $31,480 for half of the project, and then they added an additional $25,000 for that project. And you have a list of everything that was paid on that project, and the total is $107.70 And on your list of stuff, you notice there's a $15,000 charge, and that was Tatum Excavating, and that was to take down a wall, and that really wasn't included in the project at all. But it was part of Pocket Park, so that's why it's included in there. But we received on that project, on tourism, we received $56,480. The grant is $31,480. So that would leave the city cost as $19,110, and that includes the $15,000. And if you have any questions on what the things are, I have, on the list, I have.
Okay, now fine.
Most of them are.
Mark will be asking me more. Oh, okay, yeah.
If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Very good. Thank you.
I think on the Pocket Park, the only thing, and you notice we got the rocks covered up, and that's been concreted over, and I think the only thing really we lack that we want to do is stain the fence we built around the electrical box. But we're just talking about a gallon of stain and a brush, so it won't be that much more. But I hope it looks good to everybody. I went down there the other day and it looked real good. Mowed, grass is growing really well, the sprinklers are working great. And I think we've got everything done really except for that little bit of stain on the fence.
The ribbon cutting down there pretty soon.
That was, I think Christie got in touch with me. We're supposed to touch base this week to figure out a time that can be done.
Yep. Got some vents down there. All right, city manager's report, Gerald.
Okay, just I know this is a lengthy, but just take a look real quick at your, you have a document, and it's called City Board January 2023 Department Report. Forget the January 2023, but it's the department report. I just want to bring to your attention what our folks are doing. So, year to date for the police department, calls for service, they've answered 3,037 calls for service, issued 1,146 citations. Total incidents they've reported is 754. They've jailed 202 people. That's actually placing individuals in jail. They've diverted 96 people away from jail just by issuing citations and releasing them to criminal court. We've assigned 250 incidents to be investigated further by CID. We've served 402 warrants. And under UCR crime, that really refers to our murders, rape, robbery, and assaults. And it also includes burglaries, thefts, and auto thefts. So any crime that was a felony, you can see we've had 37 UCR felonies committed this year. We've had 75 simple assaults. We've had 116 property UCR crimes, the burglaries and thefts, and total UCR crimes for the year, 228. In our dispatch center, we've answered 15,004 phone calls. We've generated 4,890 calls for service to some emergency responder. As you can see, out of those 4,890, the Hope Police Department answered 3,037 of those. The other roughly 1,850 calls are answered by Hempstead County, Rural Fire, or Hope Fire. And so you can see that HPD answers about 62% of all calls for service. Our Hope Fire Department answers about 4%. So the total City of Hope response to the overall calls for service for our 911 center, which is a county-wide center, is about 66% of the activity of that center. Fire Department, they've answered 197 calls this year. They've had 4 residential fires. They've had 8 vehicle fires. They've had 2 commercial fires. They've had 9 grass fires. They answered 79 medical calls. And they have other service, like where they maybe have some mutual aid agreement or something of that nature. There's been 97 other types of things that they address. Our medical calls are kind of restricted to a threat to life calls, something that is immediately necessary to help save the life of an individual. That could include airway breathing. That could include loss of blood, things of that nature. If the call is deemed to be life-threatening, our firemen do respond to it, and we're often there on the scene prior to ambulance. And our firemen have CPR, we have training, we have the defibrillators, we have our police officers have tourniquets, and probably our firemen do. We can cut off bleeding and save lives. We've saved numerous lives over the years prior to the ambulance arrival by cutting off extremity bleeding and things of that nature. So this is what their activity so far this year. Code enforcement has issued 16 residential building permits. They've issued 6 commercial building permits. They've conducted 47 electrical and plumbing inspections. They've issued 259 notices of violation that has to do with our property maintenance code. We haven't issued any citations. We haven't removed any structures in May. We have removed our first structure this June, so that should be on your next report, and that'll be ramping up over the next couple of months. Our animal control, they've answered 213 calls for service. They've issued 10 citations. They've picked up 139 animals. 24 of those were reclaimed by the owners. We've surrendered 42 animals, people that just want to voluntarily give up their animals because they can't take care of them any longer. We have 35 of all the animals we picked up, which is 139, we've been able to foster 35 of those. They're in foster homes. We had 4 of those returned, so 31 of those are successfully fostered. We've had 1 adopted from the city. We've transferred 18 of those animals to Hope for Paws for adoption through Hope for Paws. We've had to euthanize 74 of those animals. We've had 1 bite report this year, and at the end of the month, we had on average we have about 22 animals in our facility on average at the end of every month. So we're trying to manage our space. The Parks Department, we've rented Fair Park Coliseum 35 times, Northside Community Center 35 times, the Coliseum and Arena rental 40 times, the Log Hut rental 14, Hub rentals 9, RV space rentals 118. All the softball games scheduled, we've had 218 games scheduled. Soccer field schedules are 0 at this point, but I think their season doesn't start for another month or so, September-ish, but we're getting ready for that. Baseball games scheduled have been 97. T-ball games scheduled are 20. Swimming pool rental, we haven't had that yet, but we've only been open 2 days in the month of May. We did have 143 attendants in those 2 days at the swimming pool, and we've had 5 tournaments of some type of tournament in Hope this year. Then if you turn your attention to the Public Works side of the house, Street Department, we've picked up 156 grass and leaf piles. We picked up 542 grapple truck loads of debris and limbs. We've number of hours repairing potholes is about 232. Hours right-of-way spray is 100. Hours street sweeping, 72. Miles of milling, about 3/4 of a mile. We overlaid streets for about 2.1 miles. Sidewalk repairs, we've spent about 16 hours in sidewalk repair. We're going to be, there'll be a little bit more, I think, in June because we just removed some sidewalk for the expansion of the streetscape. Drainage, we've spent about 20 hours doing drainage so far. We've had about 96 hours with respect to downed trees and storms. Set traffic signage and lighting, we put in our stop signs that y'all requested us to put in at Division and Main. And then other hours, the street department is really good at assisting the parks or assisting sanitation or assisting other departments, assisting the city manager as far as that goes, helping in the cemetery. And they've spent about 222 hours over the year so far just assisting other departments. Sanitation, we've Class 1 compacted cubic yards of 13,018 cubic yards. Class 1 baled cubic yards is 4,975. The number of bales we've actually put in the landfill are 3,110. Class 4 uncompacted cubic yards are 11,135. And the gallons of leachate we've removed from the landfill, we pump it out and pump it to our wastewater treatment facility, has been 1,961,263 gallons. And then last but not least, very important piece of our business is our wastewater and cleaning up the wastewater of our citizens and releasing it into the environment so it doesn't hurt our environment. They have repaired 152 manhole covers. They have done 3 sewer taps this year. They've do sewer locates. Anytime somebody's going to dig, we have to go out and locate sewers. We've done 647 requests for sewer locates. We've repaired a line or replaced line 25 places. Main line repair replacement is 6. That's really the deep lines, the big lines, not just the service line. We've videoed 26 lines to looking for problems. No right-of-way maintenance at this point. Lift station maintenance, we do that every day. You should always see the days of the month in that column. And emergency after-hour calls, we've answered 106 emergency after-hour calls for there. The next thing I'd like to just call your attention to is this next document. It says city tax on top of it. And this is just some additional financial data outside of the revenue expense report that you can use to compare 2022 tax receipts with 2023. As of today and at the end of May, we're up about 5.75% overall. Even though May itself saw a decline, overall we're up about 5.75%. That's the city sales tax, and then there's a little graph you can see 2023 is represented in the red, 2022 is represented in the blue. And then you can look at the city's portion of the county tax. Of course, the county tax, the city gets a portion of that as a lot of those citizens live inside the city limits. And you can see the comparisons from 2022 to 2023. And you can see from this time last year, we're up about 3.99%. And again, you have a little graph that very much mimics what the city tax is doing. And then if you'd like to look at, this would be the Fireman's Pension Fund prior to lot fee taking it. This would be our investments from the trustee's point of view. There's a nice little table there for you to see where the money is invested in the total portfolio and things of that nature. And that's just for your to take home and look with you. Then if you look at the tourism tax collections, there's January, February, March, April, and May of the tourism tax that has been collected. And so that's total through May is $293,785.59. And then if you look at the next document, we have the certificates of deposit that we think are all the certificates of deposit for the city and tourism. And you can see the interest rate that's being provided on the right column, and you can see the amount of time they are maturity, and you can see the beginning dates over on the left column, so you can take that maturity date and advance it that many months or years, and you can see when it would mature. We have talked to Summer to get with tourism to see about getting these interest rates raised. We've asked her to do that. So she should be looking into that, getting what Farmers Bank might be willing to do, and getting that to the tourism, and the tourism signers on the accounts could then re-sign and negotiate a new interest rate. And then the last sheet is the bank balances. I thought you might like to see those. The sales tax bank balance, the streets bank balance, the wastewater bank balance, the sanitation bank balance, the ARPA fund bank balance, and the airport. Those are the primary checkbooks that contain the majority of your money. And that's what's in those checkbooks. Don't be too concerned with streets, because streets gets a transfer out of sales tax, and that's just a timing issue and when we feel like it's needed to be transferred in. The one I'm more concerned about, though, is the sanitation one, and sanitation and wastewater. So that's that, and then I just wanted to mention a few things. I contacted a guy named Mark Beauchamp with UFS. UFS is a company that does rate studies for Hope Water and Light. They do their electric and water rate studies. I asked them if they'd be willing to do a wastewater rate study for us. They would be willing to do that. They have the majority of the data anyway through the Hope Water and Light. It'd be about $16,500 to do the rate study. I don't think it's required by law. The engineer thought I was wrong on that. I've looked through the statute. I can't find where wastewater is required to do a rate study. Water is. That is a statutory requirement. Hope Water and Light has to do it. I can't find it where we have to do it by wastewater. Historically, I don't know if we've ever done one. We've always kind of done it ourselves. Certainly, I could project and make some projections for you, because y'all know we have some upcoming projects that's going to have to get done. But at the same time, we may want some professionals to get in here. And they don't only just set your rates, they give you a comprehensive management plan, capital improvement plan over a period of years, which could be beneficial. I wanted just to bring that up to you. No need to vote on anything. But if you decide you would like to do that, it'd be about $16,500. I'll bring this back up to you at our next meeting. And if y'all would like, y'all can think about it. And if you would like to do that, we could enter a contract with UFS. Now, this does, you may want me to quote this out, but I thought, well, UFS has the majority of the data already. I don't know if we could, but I could still bid this out if you are not bid it out. We just take quotes to see if anybody might do it cheaper. I'd be glad to do that, and I'll try to bring that to you by the next meeting. Summer conference went well. And many of us got to attend, so that was great. Got to spend some time together, get to know one another a little bit better, and learn some things. Last board meeting, y'all said you don't want to meet on July 4th. Do you want to pick another day in that month, or do you want to just wait till the third week of that Tuesday? Or would you like to have a special call meeting? That's really up to what the board wants to do.
Do you see a lot on the agenda?
Thing to say.
The airport proposals will all be in by then?
Yeah, but that's something we could do in July the 18th?
You know you want to hear more about airport.
What is the third Tuesday? 18th. So July 18th isn't that far away, really.
Yeah.
Let's just plan on meeting the 3rd, and if something comes up, we can have a noon meeting if we need to.
Okay. And obviously, I think if we get the grant and we need to make some commitments, we can probably make those commitments and bring them to y'all, and y'all can approve them retroactively if we're acting in the manner that y'all have already kind of decided. I think we could probably be good with that. And the last thing is this. We've had that flower bed there on Elm and 67. We've talked about it a long time. I got with H&N. They do our other flower bed on Walnut. They could do something very similar to make it match. We could use the same kind of roses. We could use the same kind of grass behind. We wouldn't make it quite as plentiful because, we do a lot of Christmas decorations there that need a little more room. But I asked them to consider doing a rose bush on both ends and then 4 rose bushes scattered throughout the middle, and then have some of that grass back behind it. There would be 6 of those in between them. And they would do the mulching, they'd put down the plastic, they'd come put it all in. And then I think we have some water in that bed. We don't have an irrigation line, but we could get a soaker hose or something of that nature until we decided to put in if y'all wanted to put in a irrigation line later. But if H&N gave a price of $3,280 to do that, and that's not including tax. Our tax is 9.5%, so that'd bring it up to $3,591.60. If y'all are interested in that, I can still get 2 other quotes. But if you're interested in doing something for around that amount of money, I know we've pushed this off several years, and we did get the stumps ground out. We did that. That was just a couple $100. I just told them to go ahead and do it. So we ground those stumps out of there. So we're ready to go if y'all would like for us to do that. And if we could do it before the Watermelon Festival, it may look better matching both sides of downtown. And if y'all just want me to move forward with this, I'll be glad to move forward with this, or I can get a couple other quotes.
But you think the water that's there can maintain it?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's a place with a spigot. I think we can put the soaker hose on it or a drip line. And then if for some reason we had a problem, we could ask our fire department to come help us water it a little bit until it got established, because it is a difficult time of the year to plant something. But I think I could talk to the experts too. If this is just a bad time to plant, then it is. But surely if we water enough, it may survive. I don't know. That's beyond me. I'm not a green thumb. Would y'all like for me to try to move forward with this?
I think it'd be good to match it up with the other side.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move forward and just ask them about now or later.
Okay. Well, if I have y'all's approval, I'll just get with H&N and say get going and get it done. And maybe we can get it done before the Watermelon Festival, and then we'll do our best to keep it alive and keep it watered.
How much did you say?
$3,591.60. That's with tax. That's with the tax.
And what, I guess that would come out of the Parks Department?
No, we do have some money. We have some kind of downtown maintenance or
beautifications.
Yeah. But we do have some money, I think, that was in the budget for this. I don't know if it was this amount, but I think we can manage this. That's all I have.
That's good. Okay. All right. Any other questions for JR?
Update on the train derailment, how did they come out?
So the train derailment, I think we were down from like close to 10 o'clock in the morning, roughly 10:30-ish, till probably 9 o'clock at night. And there was nobody hurt, no damage. Just a couple of cars popped off a rail, but it blocked our intersections for quite a while. I am struggling, and I'll just tell you what I've done. We've had Old Louisville Road has been blocked by trains, and I'm not talking about hours, I'm talking about days on end. From Friday through Monday, I have made multiple complaints with people that I know, and they've tried to work with me. I've talked to Darren Archer, the UP Police. I've talked with Drew Tessier of the UP. He's over this area. I've talked with KRR, Leighton Cox. He no longer works with them. I've talked with KRR, Spencer Wheatley, and because Kiamichi and UP both push on that, we kind of get, well, that's UP's did that. No, and I call UP, no, Kiamichi did that. We kind of get this playing back and forth. Ultimately, I think the guys I'm talking to, they really want to help us. They're trying to help us, but we're dealing with organized unions, and some of our citizens are just citizens walk up to people, they're just saying there's nothing you can do about it, leave me alone. So I've worked for 3 months, and I've got my citizens texting me on weekends, day and night. I'm tracking the dates and times, and we've worked and worked and worked. And I just told everybody I've been dealing with, look, I appreciate all your help. I just don't think we're being productive. The state law allows me to make a complaint through the registered agents of UP and KR. I've written a letter. I've made those complaints. I've sent them to the registered agents. They have 45, after they receive my letters, they have 45 days to respond to us. If we don't believe there's some satisfaction, then the Highway Commission has sole jurisdiction over the railroad that crosses a roadway. They would have a hearing. And then at that hearing, the Highway Commission could fine UP or KRR. Now let me tell you, that's what the state law says. Let me tell you what some state Supreme Courts have said. I'll give you an example. Ohio. Ohio had the same issue. The Ohio Supreme Court determined, Ohio, you can't pass this kind of law because this is total federal jurisdiction and the state has no authority to preempt the federal regulation. Now, on the federal regulations website, it specifically tells you they do not regulate the roadway and they leave that up to the states. But still, Ohio Supreme Court said, no, we don't care what they said there. It's still federal authority. The states, you can't create a law preempting it. So I think I don't think Arkansas has really made that decision that I'm aware of. I know Ohio has. Of course, Ohio Supreme Court doesn't have any precedent over Arkansas. But I think what would happen is, say if the Highway Commission did fine them, they're just liable to say, well, Highway Commission, we're just not doing that. And it would end up, then the law says it has to go to circuit court. Circuit court judge would have a chance to weigh in. They could appeal that. They could appeal it all the way to the Arkansas Supreme Court. And then Arkansas Supreme Court would have a chance to weigh in like Ohio Supreme Court did.
On Blissville Road, we're talking the road at the intersection, Patmos Road, that goes down to the church.
It goes from Patmos Road over to Highway 29 South, right by the college.
Where the church is.
That's
So
correct.
how many residents are we talking about?
We're only talking 3 or 4 residents, but their point is, and I take it, is if a police officer or an ambulance or a fire truck comes to their house, they're going to go down the quickest way. And if they run into a train not knowing it's there, then they have to back all the way up and then try to come in. It's going to delay their response time. A month ago, an 18-wheeler came in off by the college and came in there and got stopped by the train. He waited about 3 hours thinking the train was going to move. Finally, someone come out and said, that train's probably going to sit there all weekend. We ended up having to send police down there and back that 18-wheeler all the way down that road about a half a mile back to 29 South so he could get out. So it is, I understand points of view.
Where's the train track go south of there? It's just
Yeah,
a dead end.
it
Ends a
So
few
it's
hundred
just-
yards past that.
Okay, so if you go over there, you see the trains on the overpass, and more than likely it's blocked.
Maybe not, because I've gone there. Every time I get complained, I go down there. Sometimes it'll be over the overpass, and sometimes it's still not blocking. And I've had them actually break the train once. That's all we've asked them to do. We just asked them, look, just break the train, break the train apart. And I've found that they did that one time.
They've had 16th blocked a lot more recently than in the past.
Well, these trains are longer, and they're pushing and pulling. But and then we're not, and like I told them, we're not complaining over an hour, or 2, but they block it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning they come, and it's driving some of our citizens crazy. And then I'm getting these texts, and I'm just trying to do everything I can to help them. That's really what it boils down to. So we've made these complaints. So we eventually may go before the Highway Commission. We'll see how that works out. And they may tell us to pound sand at some point. So, at which time I'll be leaning on Randy, and we'll end up in a court somewhere probably.
Well, every time they come to us wanting to close an intersection, they've always got a lot of promises. We need to remind them of that when they do. I tell you what, they're on a 5 o'clock schedule. They they like to move trains about 4:30 to 5:30. I think they got a alarm clock that goes off. So
Last Thursday morning, they had it blocked all, for a good part of the morning before 8 o'clock. I mean, it was from 7 to,
yeah,
That was 16th all the way up to 3rd Street.
yeah, it was,
Yeah,
I
that's all
kept
the way.
trying.
Because even this morning, I know I had to go around to the overpass there on the bypass
Yeah.
to get around to it, so.
You know, sometimes they may hook up and get everything, but they just can't get on the main UP track. Maybe they're blocked, so I don't know about that.
you know, they were offered and tried to be encouraged. They got those tracks out by Montgomery's, out of town, the north side. They were encouraged one time to maybe move all the switching out there, but they like it south of town. Make a lot of friends. Well, keep working with them, JR. Good luck.
Yeah.
Maybe be on a 10-year plan, but that's okay. All right, any other questions for JR from the board? Not citizen request? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Mitzi Coker. I live at the 500 block of Spruce Street, and there's a couple of issues, a concern and a request that I'm bringing in. It might seem trivia to you, but because of issues in my life with privacy and money issues that I am working with the IRS and other government entities to get it shut down. The first one is license plates, which Chief Tomlin, and I'm just wanting it hold on, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So, you know, you see people with the license plate off every once in a while, but when you start seeing the same ones off, the same car, not even an expired paper tag, nothing, you know, and then you start seeing it around you a lot, and then you know, on your way home and you're at a stop sign and they won't move and it's a big old truck, and then you look down and it's no license plate because of the issues in my life and because I've been threatened and all this and that, then your brain starts working a little different, and things like that become very important as a license plate. And especially near your house and stopped and making you have to go around and looking down at you in your car when you're trying to go through, you know, it's just your brain starts working different. So I'm just asking if the police department could please maybe take a little more notice of cars and, you know, just a little bit more. Because I'm seeing it a lot around me. And also the other one, because of privacy issues, this is gonna probably sound really weird, but Juneteenth I was out at Northside Park, and I know it's gonna sound ridiculous, but when you have privacy issues, something trivia as shutting the curtain when you're using the bathroom in a public place becomes kind of big to you. And if they could just maybe put some new zip ties on the curtains in the bathrooms, because they're so tight that you can't
slide
pull it across. Right. Yeah. And I know it might seem kind of silly, but you know,
no.
there's a lot of women that don't like to be walked in on while you're using the bathroom, and luckily nobody did. So anyway, that was it.
We need to know. Yeah, that's something I didn't know. Okay, we'll take care of that for sure. Okay, thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Sylvia?
Good evening. Thank y'all, and certainly appreciate the support as well this past weekend for Juneteenth. It was a great opportunity for community members and some visibility on Black history for Hempstead County. I wanted to identify for the board for visibility that community members have identified an entity called Community Engineering Corps. An entity that provides pro bono engineering and design services to help us with some design ideas for Northside Park. And so they'll be going before their review board in tomorrow for a decision in the next 2 weeks. And so we want to have partnership with the city. Information was shared with Summer, but that may have been putting the cart before the horse. But if they do decide to work with us as community members, we'll be hopefully working a bit more, want to work more closely with you all and give you all a heads up in partnership.
Good, okay. Looking forward to that.
And speaking of that, when is the outdoor grant meeting? When are we having?
It's
that?
Thursday.
It's Thursday? So, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to make
Yeah.
sure everybody
Glad you
knows
said that.
So, it's at the Fairpark
Community Center,
Community.
or the office,
6
I
o'clock
guess.
Thursday.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I found out about that today, too.
Today?
Tomorrow, Thursday at 6.
Okay, oh, yeah.
Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Okay,
There you go.
Thursday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, because I forgot about it.
Okay, any other word from the crowd?
We do have our new
Yeah.
economic development director here.
Yeah, she probably got a report for us, don't you?
I'm coming, Jake. I didn't want to, I'm not on the agenda tonight, but I will be soon.
Okay.
But I'd
Glad
like
to
to
have
be
you on board.
attending more in the future and be more aware of what the city is doing and the small and large projects that you'll have ongoing that will help us support EDC. And our relationship with our real partners is extremely important.
Yes.
With our economic development. So all of these things, the economic development entity in partnership with the City of Hope wants to make sure that we're abreast of all the things that you guys are facing as well as a city. So.
Good. Looking forward to a good run. Okay, anything else before we dismiss? Thank you all for coming, and we get overtime tonight. Thank you.
We can get together. Yeah.
No matter your season of life, no matter your banking needs, you'll find the financial products, digital tools, and friendly service that make you feel right at home with Farmers Bank.
There's a place I'm welcome in. There's a place I know I'm called a friend. There's a place that I'm never alone. There's a place called home. A place called home.
Come home to Farmers Bank.